It's been a long day without you, my friend.
46-8 for Marcinho Rose under control. The second leg, 46-1 for Amal Glasgow. Under 309 for Kingston College in February. It's going to be a great season. Excelsior second at 311.86.
The last race Hubert Lawrence ever analysed live on television, but now one of the great voices of regional track and field coverage is just a memory. Lawrence passed away at his home on Friday at the age of 63, leaving behind a 30-year legacy in sports media. Hubie, as he was affectionately known, captivated his audiences with astonishing recitals of track and field statistics. He was among the pioneering voices of Caribbean Olympic coverage with the Caribbean Media Corporation, CMC, telling Caribbean stories live on commentary from 4 Olympic Games, Sydney 2000 through to London 2012. He was among the main voices of Carifta Games, but whatever the event or the occasion, Hubert was a source of great knowledge, earning him the moniker of Walking Encyclopedia. He authored 3 books published in 2010, 2016, and 2022. We pay tribute to a true gentleman, friend, and colleague. Ricardo, you worked with him just a week before his passing, live at the Corporate Area Champs.
Yeah. You know, Lance and Mariah, my earliest memory of Hubert Lawrence was watching the Boys and Girls Athletics Championships when I entered Calabar as a grade 7 student. And at the time, Hubert Lawrence was the only one doing the television coverage of champs. And for 4 days, all day, every day, he would do the commentary and the analysis with zero help. And at the time, even as a youngster, I remember thinking this man was phenomenal, because I felt as if he never made a mistake. And I couldn't understand how you could go through 4 days
with no mistake
of track and field coverage and just not get anything wrong and just be so accurate and be so on point. And when I came into the industrial, Lance and Mariah, and I started doing commentary myself, it became even more phenomenal for me, because when I'm doing a track meet, after 3 or 4 hours, I want a break. And we always spoke about it, Hubert and I, because I would always say to him, Hubert, now that I'm in the industry, it is even more unbelievable that you used to do champs by yourself at that time. At the time it was on CVM television, and later on he was joined by Juliet Cuthbert, 1992 double Olympic silver medalist at 100 and 200, Jermaine Deans as well. And something that I think is so special about Hubert, Lance and Mariah, if you think about it, it doesn't matter who has, whether it is the Olympic Games, whether it is Carifta Games, whether it is champs locally, the Gibson McCook relays, Hubert Lawrence was always on whichever team had it, whether it was CVM television, whether it was Television Jamaica, whether it was SportsMax. There was no media house
that would
leave Hubert Lawrence out of their track and field coverage. And I think it speaks to his quality, but his quality over a long period as well, because one of the things that always amazed me is that season after season, Hubert would have the same passion for the sport and for his work. He would go to all the development meets in Jamaica, and not just the ones that were close to him or the ones in Kingston, but if there was a meet in Montego Bay, Jamalco, Clarendon, Stet, St. Elizabeth Technical, and he always said to me, young man, you have to get out there, you have to go to the countryside, it's a beautiful drive, and you enjoy the track and field down there.
Mm-hmm. I have a story that in Athens 2004, when we were covering the Olympics there, we had invited Atto Bolden to be a part of our coverage because he had just retired.
Yeah.
And Hubert was on air, and Atto was in the general area getting ready to go on air with us. And I had taken a break off air, and Hubert was on air talking. And he was talking, I think, about Felix Sanchez, the Dominican Republic two-time Olympic 400 hurdles champion. Of course, he was born in New York, grew up in California. He never lived in the Dominican Republic. And Hubert was there reeling off some stats about his high school days and personal bests at high school and his collegiate career and so on. And Atto was in the general area listening, and I could see on Atto's face that Atto was perplexed. Yes. And I said, Atto, what's happening? Because I knew exactly what was happening. Yeah. Atto said, who is this guy? Because Atto is a student of the sport. Yes. And there's nothing in track and field that Atto doesn't know, because like Hubert, he got an adrenaline rush out of statistics and history and so on. And he found Hubert's knowledge mind-boggling. Yeah. And I just told him, well, this guy is the best in the world. So, and Atto was so stunned when he heard Hubert's delivery. And that was just an example of how easily Hubert would impress people. When we were at the Olympic Games in Athens, Sydney, Beijing, and London, we had to give Hubert time off to go do his little stints with the BBC or ESPN people who wanted to talk to him and get a perspective from him. Of course, partly because the Caribbean, led by Jamaica, had been doing so well. But not only that, because he was also so globally aware of everything that was happening in track and field. And his expertise never rested with just Caribbean athletes. So this was a very, very special individual. And I said before that I think he was the best in the world, and I stand by that.
Yeah. And even outside of his track and field knowledge, Hubert Lawrence was a great human being.
Yes.
That's my take of him, because I didn't get to work with him. But just a few interactions, you could tell, like, he was such a genuine, kind-hearted person.
Yeah.
He really was. And he always had something positive to say.
Yeah.
Or no matter how difficult the situation got, he would always find a positive spin.
Yes.
I remember we were at the Carifta Games last year in the Bahamas, and things were not always going well.
A few contentious issues.
Yes, and Hubert pulled me aside and he said, young man, and he gave me a few stories over the years of things not going well. And then he said, I am still here.
Yeah, all right.
And it was such a lesson for me, Lance, because here I was getting all worked up. Mm-hmm. And beside me was Hubert, who was so calm and so composed.
That's him. That's Hubert,
and,
He had a pacifying kind of personality.
Yeah.
So he would take contentious issues and smooth them over. Many took to social media to send tributes to the great Hubert Lawrence. Never liked me calling him great. He said, just
Never
Hubert.
liked anyone.
Just Hubert, Lance, not great Hubert, just Hubert. Let's see what social media said about the great Hubert Lawrence. Andrew Holness, the Jamaica Prime Minister, says, I'm deeply saddened by the sudden passing of Hubert Lawrence, a distinguished sports journalist whose contributions to our nation's sporting landscape were invaluable. Kareem Street Thompson, the outstanding Cayman Islands and US Olympian, sharing the booth with Hubert Lawrence was bucket list stuff. I was able to glean so much from the few hours I spent with him. A giant in the Jamaican media sphere, he will be sorely missed. Rest in peace, Hubert. Much respect. Kareem Street Thompson covered the Carifta Games in 2010 with Hubert Lawrence. It was staged in the Cayman Islands. Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, MP and two-time, double Olympic silver medalist in Barcelona. I'm shocked and saddened to hear that my friend and sports journalist Hubert Lawrence has passed. He was by far the best with an encyclopedia of knowledge. We have lost a giant of a man. Walk good, my friend Hubert. Broken heart. Andre Lowe, top journalist in the print media in Jamaica. Besides being the best at his craft, Hubert Lawrence was a humble source of guidance and encouragement for many journalists, myself included. He's a reference point and someone that I truly admired. The consummate pro who always had time for others. Shocked he'll be missed. Jordizza says when we talk about a legend of track and field, Hubert Lawrence is top of the class, a walking track and field encyclopedia. His analysis, his historical comparisons, his soft delivery, he was in a class of his own. Sir Hubert, you made your mark and footprints for many to follow. Dion Jackson Miller, journalist at television Jamaica. I'm so sad to hear that Hubert Lawrence has died. World-class track and field commentator. I was always in awe of his depth of knowledge and ease of recall, and such a nice person. Rest in peace, Hubert. I'm so sorry we didn't have you for longer, but I'm glad for the time we had. Honourable Olivia Babsy-Grange, Sports Minister in Jamaica, says, I'm in shock with the news of the passing of Hubert Lawrence, whom we have come to regard as one of Jamaica's leading lights on track and field. His depth of knowledge about track and field, not only in Jamaica, was perhaps unparalleled. She continued, his death will leave a huge void in commentary and analysis on the sport, as few were as knowledgeable and articulate about it as he was. Express my deepest sympathy to his family, friends and associates. Rest in peace, Hubert. Yeah, this has been a tough weekend for us all. I can say that on Saturday I was numb for the entire day. I'm a little bit better now than I was over the weekend, but I can tell you that this one has jolted me more than any deaths that I can think about as a media colleague. And because of the person that we are talking about. And you heard the references about his being a gentleman and the kind of person he was. So apart from his brilliance in his job, he was just a genuine, nice person.
Yeah, and in 20 seconds, Lance and Mariah, I want to make the point quickly that Hubert was great at his job and continued to be great at his job because there was never a day that he stopped working at it.
Yes.
Hubert Lawrence never got complacent. He never thought he knew it all. He was always looking to learn. He was always looking to gather new information. That's the reason he would be at every single track meet. That's the reason he would always have his stopwatch. He never stopped working, and I think it is such an important lesson for everyone, but especially for those who are in the field that we are in, that it's important to keep working. That's the only way to stay at the top.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell
I know Hubert, he's with us. He wants to join in on
That's another factor in that last announcement.
Hubert Lawrence.
I think she is the best person for the award.